Good evening. Islanders whose homes were damaged by the flooding in Grand Vaux earlier this year have been told they won't get any more financial support. Some say there should be more help from the government, as officials were warned the area was at risk. Emma Volney reports.
Some of the worst flooding in Jersey's history. Traumatised residents who lost their most valuable possessions now demanding compensation from a government they feel were partly to blame.
My frustration is that I lost everything. All the photographs of my wife, my son, and if the water had been another quarter of an inch higher, I'd have lost the wife, because I can't afford to bury her. And it hurts, here.
Today, tenants staged a meeting after being told they would not be getting specific financial support. A major blow for those who didn't take out insurance and are now paying the price.
We had travel insurance and not household insurance. That didn't help because we travelled quite a bit to my husband family who lived in Manchester. So, yeah.
I mean, some will say, watching, if you didn't have insurance, why should it be up to others to help you out
exactly.
now?
I can see their point as well. But then on the saying that, years ago when we did move in, we had an accident with one of my sons setting fire to something, and then we were paying out for insurance and find out you haven't got accidental. So that was a waste of time.
Residents claim they repeatedly warned the government that the estate was at risk of flooding, but say those warnings weren't taken seriously enough, and that is why they deserve to be given more money. Well, residents here who live in social housing, homes that were among the worst hit by the floods, have already been given £1,000 from Andium Homes. They've also had their floors and white goods replaced and been offered free mental health support, but they say it's just not enough and they want the government to do a lot more.
It's been traumatic, like the whole situation. I'm in debt and I just don't know what to do. I can't go to work because I've got an autistic child, so there's no way out of it.
The government says there is help for islanders struggling with their finances generally, but it's still not enough to appease those who feel it was their inaction that's left them worse off. Emma Volney, ITV News.
Some other news now. One person is still in hospital after a crash on Queen's Road in St Helier. 2 homes were also damaged. A man has been questioned by police on suspicion of drink driving, dangerous driving and failing to stop and report a collision. He's now been released on bail. Meanwhile, police are investigating after 2 motorbikes caught fire in Jersey overnight, forcing 12 people to leave their homes. Firefighters were called out to School Road in St Clement just after midnight. One person was treated for smoke inhalation, but there were no other injuries. Next, scammers are using Facebook groups and web pages to target people who want to follow the Island Games and are asking them for money. It's led to a worldwide hunt for the fraudsters. Serena Sandhu has more.
A week of ceremony and celebration. Of island togetherness and sporting achievement. But the NatWest International Island Games is also being targeted by cyber criminals, exploiting those watching the action online with fake pages requesting credit card details for live streaming. The genuine site does that for free.
They've lifted our logo and they've lifted our content.
And you can see it's still happening, that post is 36 minutes ago.
So they're still at it, unfortunately.
The scammers are persisting despite attempts from games organisers to get the accounts blocked.
We haven't had much response from Facebook because they say it doesn't violate their community standards or whatever, so it's been very, very difficult to deal with. We've now locked down our own Facebook account that people can't make links within their comments, so that's hopefully stopped a lot of the links that were going out to sort of like illegal pay sites. But we know that they're posting it on other people's comments when they're making reference to Guernsey 2023.
Guernsey Police is taking robust action, but admits it's a sophisticated scam.
This is a phishing attack locally on an unprecedented scale, so we've thrown a substantial amount of resources at it in that work we're doing with our partner agencies to try and mitigate the risk. I can't overstate the frequency in which these are occurring. I think if anyone has been following any of the hashtag Guernsey 2023, they probably will have seen with the repeated links to this, which is something we just haven't seen on the scale before.
With stolen content, fake sites appear legitimate, but cyber experts say there's warning signs to stay safer online.
It can be quite difficult for people to determine whether it's a scam or a fake site. It's usually appeared very quickly compared to the real site, and it usually has an imperative to act. So they will try and get you to sign up or to join something now because the offer's not available much longer, or other things. There will always be this enticement, and whenever you see that enticement and it has a financial motive, that should be a red flag.
The Games are just one international sporting event falling victim to online scammers. But by being vigilant online, it's hoped fewer people will lose out. Serena Sandhu, ITV News.
Well, if you are wanting to follow today's sporting action, you can stay tuned for our roundup programme today at the Games, which starts at 10:45. You can also head to our website, itv.com/channel, to see who's topping the medal table and follow live updates. Now it's a month until Jersey's Battle of Flowers, and while changes to this year's schedule aim to attract more spectators, some are worried about the event's future. Trinity Parish have entered a float for decades, but those involved say they're worried about a lack of volunteers. Fred Dimbleby reports.
The Channel Islands have been called Britain's Riviera, and like the Riviera, Jersey has its flower carnival.
An historic tradition in a time of change. With its grand floral parade, the Battle of Flowers has entertained generations of tourists and residents alike. But there are worries about how to keep the event running.
We had COVID and that caused a few problems, but we did do a float last year. We rallied round and got people, our supporters and everything. But this year we have had a major problem finding somebody to construct the float.
Organisers see adaptation as key to the event's survival. For the first time ever, this year's festivities will begin on a Friday, a move designed to attract more spectators. And there will be a drone show to add to the entertainment. But there is still concern about the cost of participation.
Well, the good news is we've managed to get our floats a 10% increase, thanks to the government and their support, in the guarantee payments they receive to put a float in. But yes, like everybody, we are counting the cost of the rise in the cost of living crisis. Absolutely. Timber's gone up hundreds of %. Hairstyles, the little dried grasses we use, that's gone up astronomically. So we must look at ways to grow more of what we put on the floats as decoration here on the island.
Even those who have taken part in the event for decades see the need for change. The Optimists were victorious last year with this cinematic display. But the designer of the float is less upbeat about the future.
I'd love to see it continue, if not for me, for the next generation. My grandchildren are involved now and they love it, and I'd love to see it continue for as long as it could. But we need to sit down and look at the future and particularly the finances.
Thousands will line the streets next month to celebrate an event full of colour and joy. It is hoped that innovation now will help preserve the tradition for generations to come. Fred Dimbleby, ITV News.
And finally, Jersey Zoo's latest incarnation of its animal trail has a new addition. The tortoise sculptures have popped up around the island, and they've now been joined by a hare. It'll be visiting a different sculpture each week as part of Durrell's Tortoise Trail. OK, let's find out what's happening with the weather now. Here's Shireen with the latest forecast.
A very good evening to you. We've had changeable conditions today, often cloudy grey skies and some outbreaks of drizzly rain as well. It's down to this area of low pressure feeding in front after front across the islands. But things are set to settle down for the rest of this week. Plenty of sunshine to come for Wednesday and Thursday. The winds generally moderate, occasionally a fresh force 5. By the time we get to Friday, things become rather unsettled once again with some outbreaks of rain which could be heavy. But for the rest of tonight, Largely dry conditions, the risk of 1 or 2 showers until dawn tomorrow morning. Cloudy spells at times, those winds coming from a westerly to southwesterly direction, occasionally a fresh force 5, and that minimum temperature falling away to 14 degrees Celsius. So we start Wednesday morning on quite a bright note. Still the risk of 1 or 2 showers in the forecast tomorrow, but plenty of bright spells. Some cloudy skies at times. Those winds coming from a southwesterly direction, moderate force 4, occasionally fresh force 5. In the best of the sunshine tomorrow, we could see a maximum temperature of 21 degrees Celsius. That is a little bit below average for what we'd usually expect at this time of year. UV levels, though, are high. Do take care if you are heading out and about. Well, here is how the outlook is shaping up. Sunny spells to come for the next few days before we're set for some rain on Friday.
Well, that's it from me, but stick around for our sports coverage today at the Games, where Jonathan Wills and Keelan Webster will bring you all of the latest action. Good night.